everybody, it's Lee Caraher, and this is Everything Speaks, where we talk about how everything you do and say speaks for you, if you want it to or not. Today, we're going to talk about public relations in the wine industry, or what we call wine PR. And of course, who I have to talk with us today is Maggie Zeman, the one, the only Maggie Zeman, who runs the Double Forte wine practice and the New York office as well. So Maggie, welcome back to the pod.
Thank you, Lee. I'm so excited to be here for this. Well, I'm always excited to be here, but I'm very excited to be here for this conversation because I think that there just are a lot of misnomers about
Yes.
wine PR. We're going to get into it, but I think it's also really a great opportunity for you, for us, to let everybody know about our approach to hiring in general because
Yeah.
it's so special.
Well, I think so. But,
we haven't been through
there
it.
we go. Exactly. We haven't been through it, that's for sure. Oh my gosh. Let me give you a little background. So Double Forte started in 2002, mostly consumer, now we have three practices: consumer lifestyles, consumer technologies, consumer digital life, professional services, and then a lot of other stuff in there. So, and in San Francisco. And of course, in San Francisco, there's, in California, so much wine. And Double Forte would be invited to all these wine RFPs. And I'm like, oh, how hard could that be? Wine. And we would always be number two, number two, until we had a client who was related to one of our people, where we learned, we did great things for that client. We didn't do traditional wine PR. We did consumer PR. And there's a difference I did not understand. And then Maggie Zeman, who we had worked together twice before. Once she was my client, and then she was in the agency, and then she left the agency to go into wine PR up in Geyserville. And then after 5 years, she started her own company, The Barn Group. And then we were talking, and then the Barn Group and Double Forte merged in 2011. That's right. And that is where I learned that wine PR is really different. And just as a disclaimer, Maggie's going to deny this, but they don't let me anywhere near the wine clients. So, because it's true. Because I understand wine PR. I don't know wine PR. Those two different things. So today we're going to talk about wine PR and how to get a job in wine PR too. Because every time we put up a job that is in the wine team, we get every Tom, Dick, and Harry, whoever had a glass of wine and they enjoyed it, applies to the job. I love wine is not a qualification for a wine PR job. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Not a qualification. Just like I like sports is not a qualification to be in sports food. All right. Maggie, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So why, at the same time, I would say for our people who are very interested in wine PR, just like in other categories of other industries, I want to be in video games. I want to be in this. I want to be in that. I want to be in wine. And then probably half of the people who want to be in what they think is a category. So video game, wine, I don't know, give me an example. They tap out, like they get into it and they realize what has to health care. They get into it and they realize what has to, and they're like, I just want to drink the wine, or I just want to play the games. I don't want to be in this. So that does happen. It happens in every category. We feel it the most in the wine category at Double Forte because of the qualifications that you have to go get and the investment we need to make in people to go be eligible really to talk to clients. So is that fair?
Yes, very fair.
Okay. So let's break it down. So why is wine PR different?
Right. Well, I think, first off, any industry, to your point, that you're interested in going into from a PR perspective, whether it's health and wellness or technology or food or, CPG, whatever it might be, it's it just in general, as a general rule, do yourself a favor and do the research, right? So,
Yeah.
I think that it's really, really important to understand the makings of those products and the industry in which they live and how the business works to, in addition to the fact that you love wine or
Mhm.
you love fashion or whatever. Because the real work happens when you get, once you're on the other side of it and you're actually doing the work. Wine is interesting because there are so many facets to wine as a product. There, it's an agricultural product. um the timing that it takes to the time it takes to make a bottle of wine, the vintage, the process of releasing the wine before it even gets to the consumer can be a 3-year process. So
Mhm.
it's not like you're promoting a wine right off the bat that is
Here's the
in
grape.
harvest, right? Right. There are legal ramifications for how you promote the wine. The TTB, which is the government's arm that
So what's the TTB?
so the TTB it stands for the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau,
Mhm.
and it is the arm of the government that monitors how alcohol is made, how it's sold, where it's sold, how it crosses state line. Each state has its own set of rules relating to alcohol and alcohol sales.
That is has to work within the TTB rules.
Correct. And it
Okay.
works within the federal government.
Okay,
Uh,
nice.
and so there are a lot of laws around that affect us as PR professionals. I'm getting into the weeds really fast,
That's
guys.
okay.
That
That's the point.
right, that affect how we promote wine. So
And then
there
I
are,
didn't interrupt. So
yeah,
this is the reason that you have to have some education before we, or really any agency, can put you in front of a client. Because you could just say, hey, I want to sell this in Tennessee, or pick a state, and the other person, the client will go, we can't sell in Tennessee. Don't you know that? Or whatever it is.
right,
So understanding all of these constrictions or rules and laws, and the fact that every state is different, is critical to being able to serve a wine client.
correct.
Okay, back to you. All right.
And I think that in addition to that, so it's also understanding the wine industry right now is going through some challenging times and how it's promoting its products to younger demographics and younger audiences. So
Mhm.
um, how you market your client's product, or if you work, this conversation also is if you're interested in going to work for a winery,
Right.
really making sure that you understand the intricacies of who the target demographic is for that wine so that you are really, really targeted and specific, is really important. But the education piece also extends to understanding the varieties that are grown in the vineyards, the
That's different grapes,
varietals,
different grapes,
the
different
different
kinds of
grapes,
grapes. Okay.
correct? How they're vinified, how they're made,
Mhm.
how those varieties of grapes become varietals of wine, and there's a difference. Because if there's a red blend, that can be considered a varietal of wine, and it's made up of several different wine grapes. So it just is a small example. You really need to have a baseline understanding um, of the what wine, how you pair that wine with food, how the consumers interact with the wine, how the consumers interact with the brand. It's really important to understand glassware, handling of the wine, the senses, the sensory. How do you approach a glass of wine and smell it and taste it, and so that you can talk about the wine? Because a lot of what we do is we do a lot of writing with our clients. we
Mhm.
We write tasting notes. We write newsletters that talk about harvest, that talk about winemaking in the cellar, the process of how they actually make the wine. And so having a baseline understanding of what all of that is and what that means is really, really important. I have a funny story. I was working for a large global wine company, and somebody came into the company early on in my career there, and he was new to wine. He actually came from a CPG company, and we were sitting down in what we used to call a wine availability meeting, which is when you review all of the different vintages of wine and what's available. And we were talking about this big, huge anniversary launch that was coming up for a winemaker who had been with us for a lot of years. And one of the wines that the team wanted to promote, wanted to share with the media, was really low on inventory. And in fact, not enough was available for this huge celebration. And this new marketing exec stopped the meeting and looked across the table and said, "I just don't understand why we can't make more."
Did that person keep their job?
In fact, indeed, and yes. And it's all but that's just to show you that,
Just turn
that
on the tap. Isn't there more in the back?
right.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a vodka, it's not a ketchup. It really is an agricultural product that's
Right.
tied to a vintage tied to a year. But anyway.
So can I just interrupt you? So
Yeah,
when
please.
you talk about wine education, when people come into our practice, they're required to go through WSET. I'm not even sure what WSET means, but the WSET education, what does WSET stand for? Wine something and trust or whatever. Wine and Spirit Education Trust. That's what it stands for.
Yeah.
And they have these levels of education. Tell us about what is WSET and what does it give you in terms of foundation?
Yeah, so WSET, thank you for calling out the acronym. WSET is a very, very well-respected wine and spirit education organization that educates sommeliers globally, as well as just someone who's interested in knowing more about wine. So there are different levels. So level one, anybody can take that class and broaden their horizons and really understand the basics of how wine is made and how to taste wine, how to pair wine really. And the process that you learn for how to taste wine is very involved, really how you come up with when you're smelling the wine and tasting the wine, how you're coming up with the descriptors is a big process, how you learn about wine. But then it goes up to service, and it goes all the way up to getting you into the sommelier program, where you are blind tasting a wine and calling out its region and its vintage.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and so it's pretty intense, but it's gone online since it's become virtual in a lot of places since COVID, but it still is in person. We have one of our team members, I'm so thrilled, is in the process of getting level 3.
So level 1 is the bottom.
Level 1 is the bottom. Level 2 is for professionals who are in the industry. And
does that include us, WSET too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Everybody who's on our team
is WSET 2.
Correct. We have one person who is in the process of going for WSET 3, which approaches service and has more on the actual winemaking itself. And then it goes up from there. WSET also has a track in spirits. So understanding the distillation process and all of the different spirits and what makes
so basically, we think of WSET as you got to have it to show up for us. And that's not true for all wine PR firms or wine PR practices, but for us, it is the baseline.
Yes.
And I know everyone who's gone through it is like, I'm learning the regions right now. I'm got to take my test. Everyone's nervous about it. Everyone has passed, but everyone's nervous about it because it's so much information. And my experience of having just listened to our staff members who've gone through this is on the other side of it, they go in going, I'm going to get my WSET 2 or 1 or whatever it is. And on the other side, thank God I got my WSET 2. And they just feel so much more confident. And they're just so much, they just are, it's an incredible, one, it's for us as a differentiator in the business. And then two, our people, it's just a shortcut to be able to even talk to a winemaker.
That's right. It allows us to have a seat at the table with the client, and it gives them the confidence in us that we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. But anyone could take it, right? You can just take the course.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, I didn't do WSET because when I was in taking my courses in wine, I was going through the Culinary Institute in Napa, and then I took the Master Somm Level 1. So I went a different route for mine. That also is a great way to go. We do
like the SAT and the ACT. You can do both.
Right. Yeah.
And there's more than one track, blah, blah, blah.
Right. And I think that one thing I do want to say is that one clarification, and I correct me if I'm wrongly, but we will interview people who are interested in wine. We have an expectation for entry to mid, lower level positions.
But they don't have this. Yeah.
That they don't have WSET. But what they do have is a working knowledge of wine and why they like it. It's not just, oh, it's good with dinner. My dad has a great cellar. That's
me.
Not the answer. Right.
I like it.
And so to get to that point, first off, there's so much content that's available out there. There's Wine Folly, there's Karen McNeil's Bible, which I highly recommend to anybody who's interested in learning about wine. And
we'll put all these resources and links in the show notes page. Everyone go down and see those. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think it's really important, particularly from a PR perspective, that you are really well versed in the wine publications and how to understand the wine scoring.
Yeah. So scores. So, you go to a wine store, you go to a wine shelf in a grocery store, whatever, and you see the scores. And correct me if I'm wrong, the scoring is actually, it helps consumers, but it's really for the distributors.
Yeah.
I was like, what? What are you talking about? So you almost never see something lower than an 88, right? On a shelf.
Right. I would
88 say, out of 100.
Yeah, I would say. So there is more wine, not surprisingly. There is more wine than there is shelf space.
Right.
And there are certain retailers and distributors who require as a benchmark to be sold into retail stores that those wines have scores from certain publications, such as Wine Spectator, Wine Enthusiast, Wine Advocate, or James Suckling. I would say those are... Are
they all the same? So if you're going to be in Safeway, just one of those scores matters, or do you have to get all of those scores?
One, generally speaking, is
enough.
And they're looking, depending upon the brand, they're looking for a 90. Unless it's a Best Buy wine, which it can be 89 points. So I would say that's the threshold.
What's a Best Buy wine?
The Best Buy wine is a wine that is a quality to value proposition is really, really high. So the wine might be $15 a bottle, but it's scored 89 points. And so the combination of the two makes it
$15, 89 is your Best Buy. Got it.
Right.
If you were a $90 bottle of wine, you better be a 95.
If you are a $90 bottle of wine and you get an 89, you're not advertising.
Yeah, you're not distributing at Safeway or wherever it is.
You're certainly not promoting that score.
Right. Got it. Got it. Got
So,
it.
but so the score, there are a lot of people who are really against the 100-point scoring system. Uh, Jancis Robinson, who's incredibly well respected wine educator and author, is one of those. Um, Other publications have what they call puffs as opposed to numbers. They give stars or they give.
Oh, yeah.
But the point is that it has become such a competitive place in the industry that wine makers, that wine companies are really vying to get these scores, not
So
to
that they
say
can
that
get
it doesn't help.
distribution.
Correct. And then, of course, the retailers promote those scores and they have them on, you'll see on
Yeah.
it's got 90 points
Shelf
and then
talker. Yeah.
right, exactly.
And which makes it, frankly, as an uneducated consumer, you walk down the line 90, 90, 91, 90, 90, 91, 89, 95. I mean, like, that's all the same score.
Yeah, right.
So, but I get it. Okay. So getting scored, there's a whole, I mean, Maggie took me through the wine scoring strategy for just one of our clients, and it made my head hurt. It made my head hurt. So there is a method to that madness to get what is subjectively a score, right? There is no scientific method to the score.
Right. And it starts with winemaking and the philosophy and the vision for what it is that they want the wine to be, and their sourcing, and how they make the wine, and tasting that wine blindly against a competitive set to determine how that wine is tasting.
Okay.
Right. And
then
then
do you do all that work before we even submit it?
we work with our clients to make sure they're doing those steps. So some wine companies will put wine scores on as a PR KPI. We
How
push
can you
back.
passively do that? It's not
Right.
it's not in our.
I'm not making the wine, people. I'm just So, and we've gone so far as to say this is a KPI for your winemaker. The process through which we will help you get this wine into the hands of reviewers and build relationships around the reviewers as necessary is the work that we do.
Got it.
But I'm telling you, I mean, there are great opportunities for anyone you got to start with a passion for wine.
So let's talk about that for a second.
And a curiosity.
Right. So you can go through WSET, you can go through CIA, you can do all these things, but if you don't care about wine,
right,
don't go into wine PR.
Right.
Because just like if you don't care about video games, no one in the video game business wants to talk to anybody who doesn't care about video games. Same thing with wine. If you don't care about wine, it's not part of your lifestyle, don't go into wine.
And I'm not drinking wine during the day, people. So don't be thinking that either.
Well, it's a 5-glass day, or what I would call a bottle day. Yeah.
We do have those.
Oh my gosh. So, it's not get sloshed every night on wine, that's for sure.
Well, I think one thing, Lee, that we do really well at Double Forte with your leadership is it's really important that we worked to find candidates that no matter where they're coming from or what their interests are, they have a passion and they have a curiosity.
Yeah.
And, that is built into who Double Forte is and our process for hiring.
Right.
And wine is no different.
No, it just requires it requires knowledge, plus the passion, plus the curiosity to be effective in it. Because if you're not, you will not advance, you will not achieve. And I have to say, you have done so much to help me understand that. I mean, I understood it from other categories, but it's unusual this is a product. So in a video game, let's just talk about video games. Video games, if you're a gamer, you're a gamer, right? So, and they're called casual gamers for a reason. because they're casual. They don't care about polygon counts or whatever the hell it is, right? So, but if you're a gamer and you're in because you got to know that stuff to actually play the game. That is not true for wine. You can go buy a bottle, enjoy it. It doesn't mean you're, I don't know what you call it, a wineophile. It doesn't mean that you are, knowledgeable.
Right.
And sometimes it can be very intimidating because you hear these wine snobs and, like they use these words and I'm like, I don't know what that means. What does this mean? Why is that a cherry? What,
Yeah.
And that is definitely not our approach to wine. Our job is to make as many wines accessible to as many people as possible, understanding that there are definitely different audiences for different wines.
Yes. And I would say that's so true. And I'm glad you brought that up because I would say that part of what we do working closely with our clients is making sure that we are bringing an element of mainstream point of view to our PR efforts. So one of the biggest problems the wine industry is having right now is attracting the Gen Z consumer because they don't care that the wine was made from vineyards that bathe in sunlight all day and then have
or that Joe is the winemaker and he's been doing it for 30 years. He's got,
right.
All these medals. Doesn't care.
And why do I want a wine that has hints of tobacco in it? I don't.
Right.
So
yeah.
So there's a real
Disconnect there.
effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a real effort to bridge that gap with that consumer and help them understand just enjoy it. Just it's delicious and
right.
Trying to make that connection. So
and that's a difference too for Double Forte among other wine PR firms, right?
Right.
For sure. One thing that also so we have a portfolio panel. So we have, we represent, I don't even know how many wines right now, how many brands, how many bottles, I don't even know. But if we have lots of reds, we have lots of whites, we have lots of pinks, we got lots of bubbles, we got, in reds, we got Cabernet and Pinot, we got all the different things, right? And I was like, how can we have two Pinots? How can we have two, And Maggie just looked at me like, of course we can have two Pinots, Lee. We can have 9 Pinots. We have 15 Pinots. I'm like, we can? Okay, I don't understand that.
I don't recall responding to that.
Like, why can't I don't understand why we can have 15 of these things. Because in this business, if you just represented one, you wouldn't have business.
Right.
Hey, number one. This is what shocked me the most. Didn't shock me the most. There are a lot of things that shocked me about wine PR. What's a price point for a premium wine? What's the lowest price point for a premium wine?
$8.
$8. Premium? That does not make sense to me.
Well, there's also super premium. There's also super premium.
Like, what's under $8? Like,
I know.
it's crap.
So 8 to 12. It's like 8 to 12, and then 12 to 15. Under 20 is premium, and then there's super premium. That's
so 0 to 20 is premium wine.
If there is $0 wine,
okay, $3 Chuck. $3 Chuck. That's a premium wine.
So yeah, Trader Joe's wines are premium wines.
Okay, so
and it's a price
premium
point.
to me.
I understand.
Sounds like the best. So when you're in the $20 to $40 range, what is that called? Just a $20 bottle of wine?
No, it's luxury.
Luxury. And then, okay, so if you're $50 to $100.
Think about it. Luxury, if you're walking down the aisle of a grocery store or of a liquor store and you are having a dinner party, and in addition to everything that you're doing for that dinner party, you are serving wine and you want to spend, there are 10 people coming and your budget is like $50 for wine. You were staying under $20
right.
a bottle.
Right.
And $20 for one bottle of wine is a lot of money. So luxury in wine, that price point can start at 30 and above.
Okay. And is there something above that? Super luxury?
Yeah, I mean, expensive? No. Yeah, it's luxury. It's high end.
Outrageous.
Those are then you're getting into cult wines over $100. Then you're getting into a whole nother category, collectibles and things of
Okay.
that nature. But I would say
So
for the most part, our we have a couple that are cult status.
mhm.
We have luxury uh, items for sure. And then I would say the majority of our wine clients' portfolios are between 25 and 18,
So premium.
$17 a bottle. Yeah.
Super premium,
Yeah.
premium. Right.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to sell the most at a grocery store in a package, in Boston, I would say packy. It's a packy. But
Yeah.
or the liquor store, right? It's going to be that $10 to $20, $25 wine.
Right.
Throughput is volume.
Mhm.
Okay. The names don't make sense to me, but okay.
I
Another
know.
thing I learned, like, I just remember $3 Chuck back in the day. I'm dating myself. And then you found out about $3 Chuck, which was all this super awesome grape juice that was just left over. And then the people who went to Trader Joe's who knew what they were doing, they would buy a bottle, they would look at the number of the bottle, right? And they would buy 3 or 4 different bottles with different numbers on them. They'd go out to their car, they would try each one, and then they would buy a case of the one they liked the most. They go back in and they buy a case of the one they liked the most because it could have been awesome juice. It was just left over because it's an
Right.
agricultural product and you can't control it.
Right, right. So that there was a lot of wine on the bulk market at that time, and it was
Mm-hmm.
quality wine. And Bronco was in a position to access that wine
Mm-hmm.
and at a good price and put it in the bottle and sell it. And that moment in time was a genie in the bottle, but the model for that
Mm-hmm.
has continued. And sometimes it's great. Sometimes you luck out and it's terrific. And other times,
You
those
spin the
those
bottle. No
offerings
pun
are, yeah.
intended.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you don't know what to buy, buy one of each, go out to your car, try them, and come back in and buy the case.
And then come in for your interview.
And then come in for your interview at Double Forte.
Not.
Don't do that. Or at least wait a day.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's, just some of the differences in what makes a successful wine PR person is being curious, being knowledgeable, and knowing stuff, and being able to bring that curiosity and passion to the job. Because the people who are in the wine business are knowledgeable and curious and passionate,
Correct.
right? So
Yeah.
you talked about that client who was a former CPG person who said, "I don't understand why you can't make more." I imagine today that person is quite passionate and knowledgeable
Right. Certainly would not say that again.
ever in his life. Okay,
Right.
that must have been a wonderful day. I
Yes.
can't even imagine. I'm sure that flew around the office. Oh my God. You won't believe what he just said. Probably pre-Slack, but if the Slack was on, it would have been up. Oh my gosh, so funny.
Canned peas. Let's go.
Let's go. More peas. Well, we work for Silver Spring Foods, and Silver Spring Foods is the largest horseradish grower and manufacturer in the world. And there is not enough horseradish to serve the market. So it's the same, you can't just make more. Horseradish takes minimum 18 months to grow. So you can't just if it's not on the ground and if it's not ready to be harvested, you can't go get it. It's,
Right.
yeah.
Which I never knew that. I just thought, it just really, it's so important that
You
when you're
understand the
right.
crop, right? Well, for
Absolutely.
instance, I'll just talk about horseradish for 2 seconds. Become quite passionate about horseradish. And horseradish also, in certain religions, is very important. And in the Jewish religion during Passover for the Seder dinner, very important. It has to be on the plate. So a few years ago, when there was a worldwide shortage of horseradish, Silver Spring actually held back some of their products, and they have different product lines. So Kelchner, they have different brands, but they held back some of their product so that it would be available for those different religious holidays that require it to celebrate. I had no idea, right? How would you
That's
know
so
unless you knew,
fascinating.
right?
Yeah.
And then for our job at that time was to reach those different religious communities to tell them that, yes, there would be horseradish and where you can go get it.
Wow.
So it's the same, if it comes out of the ground, it just does, it's not a
Mhm.
potato. Potatoes are potatoes, but potatoes aren't just potatoes.
Right, right.
Right. It's a potato. No, when you like work on potatoes, man, oh my God, you know so much about potatoes. So
Hmm.
it's the same kind of thing. Once you get into it, you got to get into it to actually represent it, right? And
Right,
the nice thing about being in an agency is that you can work in different industries or across different product lines or across different philosophy companies with different philosophies and get a lot of information
right,
that then the thing I think is so great about, well, I think we're a great agency, but one of the things I think about is so great that we're not just a wine firm or we're not just a consumer technology firm or we're not just this, is that we can learn, our people can learn from different industries and the different knowledge we need to bring and apply it to their own. So what the wine team learns, we apply to other categories. And
right.
then with the beverage team, so we work with a couple beverage, non-alcs. What that team learns, we can apply to wine. But then sometimes we cannot apply it to wine because of TTB,
Right,
right?
right.
Right. But, when you, what's super important, and these are for people who are looking for jobs in agencies versus in house, because they're very different jobs, actually,
Yeah,
is the agency experience, particularly in the first part of your career, allows you to do a lot more training, a lot more different things than if you were in house in any job, any industry, I think.
for
But
sure.
learning how, so there's an idea over on the Tarani team that the wine team likes, and then they have to put it in the context of TTB or whatever the rules are. It doesn't mean it's not a great idea that you can apply. It just has to go through that filter.
Right.
But if you don't have the discipline in an agency to bring and share,
Hmm.
you know, and when you're inside any company, it's harder to get outside ideas.
Right.
It's just harder to get outside ideas, even
Hmm.
in the mix, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Very true.
So,
Very true.
okay. So that's why PR wine is different. That's how we want you to be, at least know that it's different when you come talk to us, right?
Right.
And we do everything we can when people apply for we do everything we can to level the playing field for all applicants. So a few years ago, we went through this. We're still going through it. I mean, we have a very active diversity, equity, and inclusion task force that's working through lots of, and it will never be done, right? But one of the first things we did was apply that lens to the hiring process. And what we learned, and since then, we've had the strongest applicant pools we've ever had in almost 22 years. The last 3 years of applicant pools have been incredibly strong. And we're always disappointed that we can't hire everybody we want because we're a small firm. Um, and we try to level, one of the things we do actually is level the playing field for everybody who has made it through the first round. The first round, kind of stuff. And we tell everybody, go listen to these podcasts, read this stuff. If you're applying for a wine job, go listen to this podcast. This will be the next podcast to go listen to so that they can, no matter where they came from, no matter what their background is, they can come, they have the opportunity to come educated.
Yes.
And that process then separates the wheat from the chaff very quickly. Very
Right.
quickly. Like in our last round, we went from over 400 applicants, 200 of them ish qualified because they followed the rules of our application process. That's the first easiest thing. So over half didn't qualify because they didn't follow the rules that we put in the job post. All right. We replied to anybody who follows the rules in the first one gets a reply from us, every single one. And then we go through and say, oh, these we would have said 3 or 4 years ago, we would have said, I only want to talk to these 10 people because they check all the boxes. Now we don't check as many boxes because the more you check your boxes, the less,
This, the more narrow,
the more narrow it
yeah.
is, and the less great people come through, truly. So now we look that first round, 400 to 50 is, if we get 400 applications, if half of them are done, we want to see 25%. So we saw 50 people. We interviewed over 50 people for that first round. And we gave everybody the same information. Anybody who didn't, use that information in their interview did not make it to the next round.
Right.
But the people who did, right? And we ended up with 13 people we'd like to hire for one position. So hard, because we'd love to hire all of them, seriously.
Right.
But the preparation you can do, if you're applying to a job at another firm, ask them, what can I do to prepare for this interview?
Right.
We will tell you exactly what to do. It's some reading, it's some podcast listening, it's some research, We will tell you. But if you're not told, go ask them what you can do to prepare.
Yeah. Especially on those entry level positions, I think it's just so important.
And if it's in a category, if they're telling you it's wine PR job, it's for the wine team, or it's for the video game team, or it's for the CPG team, or whatever it is, they're telling you what team you're going to be on. Go read.
Right.
Like, just go Google it. What is wine PR?
Right, exactly. And resources for wine PR jobs. I mean, you will be,
so many.
There's so many.
And we're going to put them in the show notes page.
We will put job boards and research. But I would add one other thing to the process. The other thing is networking. So if you are interested in a job in wine, who do you know that is in wine or know someone who's in wine, or go to a winery and ask questions of the person behind the bar, the hospitality person behind the bar. Go on a tour with the winemaker and ask the winemaker questions about the process and about getting a job in wine as part of the tour. They're there to answer questions.
Go to a wine bar in your
right,
a wine retailer in your city and take a class.
Right. And so, just going to a wine shop in your town and, so make a field trip out of it and go and as part of your own research, networking to talk to people who are in the industry so that you can really understand the ins and outs, I think is super valuable for a lot of reasons. For one, you will be more enlightened on the industry, and we will be forever impressed that your curiosity drove you to do your own research. And for us, that's everything.
And that's for any category.
Correct.
Any category. And still, you might get into it. We might invest in you, and you might say, you know what, I don't want to do this. And that's always disappointing. So disappointing, because in any category, I don't want to do X anymore. Oh, God. Put all that, but it happens. Yeah. And the benefit of being in an agency is that hopefully there's space for you in other places, right? We can switch things out. Yeah. Because whatever job you take, so if you're looking for a job right out of college right now, first job, whatever it is, your career is going to go many different ways, right?
Right.
Maggie started her career in Washington, D.C. In public policy. Then she was in Netscape technology at the very beginning. I mean, just in the trenches in Silicon Valley. Then she went into wine. She's had more careers than I have. You have. I mean, I started my career in high-tech PR right when it started. And I moved over to consumer, and now we do technology. I mean, I've followed technology as it's evolved in my career, right? More than but you've had more careers than I have on that. And anyone who's 22, look, you're going to probably have 6, 7, 8 careers. So I think that, but any agency, any wine company is going to be looking for people who like wine, are curious about wine, and know the industry. Period.
Right.
Period. So if you want to have the opportunity to work in wine, marketing, public relations, whatever it is, you have to do those things.
That's exactly right.
Right?
Yeah.
It gives you the option. And
Yep.
then it's, then you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have that skill set and it'll always be with you. So just like I say, public relations, strategic communication, these are great jobs for people who are, in the first 5 years of their career.
Yep.
After college, they're great jobs because any skill you learn at an agency, you will apply for the rest of your life. Any skill, truly, any skill.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the same thing is true for wine PR, because if you can go deep, you can go deep on anything.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't pigeonhole you, but you have to be interested to be successful.
That's right. Well said.
All right. Well, Maggie, now everyone's going to want to work for you. Even harder.
Pop a cork. We'll have a conversation.
Pop a cork, or twist a lid, or whatever it's called, or
twist a cap,
push a button, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or snap I guess that's a twist off, right? New Elementals twist.
Elemental's a twist.
Right.
Yes.
In the aluminum bottle. Maybe you've heard. All right. Okay, everybody. We're going to have lots of resources in the show notes page for this. Maggie, thank you so much for bringing this very informative information to the pod. And we'll see you soon.
Always fun. Have a good day.
All right, everybody. I'm Lee Caraher, and this is Everything Speaks.